up, guys? Back in today with another reaction to Liar Game, this time for episode 19. I really enjoyed this arc so far, though I am kind of glad we are getting to the end of it because I mentioned this last week. It does feel like the longer this does go on, the more kind of small details I do forget, which is yeah, it's just it probably would have been better to kind of binge this arc, I would say, just because you can kind of keep all the information fresh, whereas weekly it's been about 6 or 7 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks. That would be kind of trying to retain the information. So last week was a little bit hard to kind of remember all the details leading up to that point and kind of the positions they're in and so on. But yeah, we did end up finishing the game. It was yet another episode from the perspective of Yokia and his team, which I thought was really cool. I've been liking that we've got that at the later stages of this arc. But yeah, we just kind of skipped the last like 17 or 18 um, kind of deliberations, didn't we? We finished the second day, and then the whole third day just in like 30 seconds just absolutely flew by. So I imagine we'll probably kind of flash back to what happened and the events of those kind of um interrogations and such in the next couple episodes. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how it all goes down. I don't know if it'd be the case that we find out the results and then look back, or we just like have a look back and then find the results. But either way, excited to see how the game has ended here. Final schools. It's also like, is there going to be like a mini arc after this then, or are we going to be dealing with like the fallout of this in the episodes preceding? Do you know what I was thinking of before this episode started? I was thinking perhaps perhaps the deal with the bald guy was a different kind of deal than we had with the other two. Perhaps the deal with the bald guy was Akiyama saying, "I know that you found out about the betrayers, and now you will pretend to make a deal with me to Yokia, but we're actually going to make a deal rather than you pretending to make a deal, if that makes sense." So my theory is that we actually did make an actual deal with the bald Mexican looking guy. To what end? I'm not really sure. It would be way. I'd probably have to spend 10 or 20 minutes thinking about it. But I won't. Won't waste your time. But we will see. But yeah, I just feel like there's more to the betrayer situation. Maybe the Jesus guy got told to give in after a minute by Akiyama. Not sure. I think that's the legitimate worry, you know? I'm not in position to say anything otherwise. So yeah, again, it's just kind of confusing because yeah, to be fair, I forget from these guys' perspectives, there are no money in each of the ATMs. Um, they think that we didn't deposit it, and yeah, that's just where like from our perspective differs from their perspective, different to the actual ongoings of the game. It's like yeah, but again, I'm not in any position to say otherwise. I'm with these guys. Like we're not getting anywhere. Yeah. We can't get anywhere. He'd be cool. He's calling me an idiot right here as well. Yeah. I tell you what. I say all this like my theories and such from the outside perspective. But if I was in this game and such, I probably would be oblivious to a lot. Wait, so what are we gonna? So that's the day team's savings account money here that we haven't deposited that we would usually take from. Oh shit! This seems like something Akiyama would want to happen, no? This seems like something that benefits day team, right? Because it leaves less money for. Really, really. Oh wait, so this is the again. I'm confused. So this is the money from their own uh kind of savings account ATM, which the country day has to smuggle out. So this is the money they'd be receiving if the game just ended now. That's supposed to be in their ATM. So they're taking out their own. Huh, deposit the money into the ATM. So he'll deposit this into. I'm confused. So he's gonna then deposit this into the country a day's kind of savings accounts, which they have to take the money from. Going to deposit in there. So it's essentially like the balance is zero at the minute in the country a day's savings account, which the country night has to take the money from. Then it'll go up by 100 million from him depositing this, and then it'll go down from to zero from 100 million because he's took 100 million out. So essentially, he's smuggling the cash that's in limbo right now into their current account, which is the kind of game standings for them to win the game with a higher margin than the 100 mil or whatever the difference is right now um, between the two. Again, this seems like something you probably want to happen from Akiyama's perspective, right? Because then maybe we could start calling their money and start taking money from them. If it was just to continue the way things are now, these guys would win. I think this might be their undoing here, to be honest. Right? Them getting too greedy. They're wanting to win by a margin rather than just win. They could probably just take their win now, and all would be said and done. But the fact that they're getting greedy like this, hmm, we'll see. We'll see. Again, it's slightly hard to get my head around because, as I said, there's so many like details, and over the weeks, yeah. harder to keep up. But this strikes me as a bad choice. Yeah, that's why we do it. That makes sense. Brilliance personified. Basically, just getting told to shut your bitch ass up. Sit down and obey, boy. See, I don't know if that was just some really bad acting from now again. It seemed like it to me. Cat's out of the bag. You guys probably should be a bit happy because you've got a lot more money on us now. But why would you say that? So it's one of those things. It doesn't mean much now because the game's over. But if you were actually this, I don't know if it's going to sound weird, but if you're actually in like a losing position, you kind of see it in poker sometimes where someone makes like a bad bluff and they get called. They won't show that bluff. They usually be embarrassed by it. They usually hide it and just like chuck away the cards without showing from embarrassment. And you see that quite often in poker. And this is that same situation. Like this was a bad bluff from Akiyama that didn't end up working out. So why would he then? There's no embarrassment from him regarding this. Like he's not that. I don't think he's that type of person anyway. But again, you see that behavior quite often with losing kind of bluffs and losing bets like that. Um, for me, it's one of those things where in poker, especially, you probably don't want to show your cards when you don't have to most of the time because it's beneficial for people not to figure out how you play certain hands and such. So the fact that he's revealing that bluff was bullshit means he's got some kind of confidence in what's coming next, right? Surely. You don't see that a whole lot. So we want this to be the country and I. Okay. Like quite a lot. But now the big thing coming up. I love his. I love it. I love his reactions. Let's watch that one more time. Oh man, this show just gets the cheesy moment so right. So, what's gone on here then? So in the country of night ATM that the country of day team would have to retrieve, there's nothing left. So the country of night gets zilch between them from the savings, whereas the day team get 3.34 billion each. Let me get my calculator up. I'll try work out in my head. I'm usually pretty quick with equations, but when we're talking about billions like this, it is quite complex. So I mean, the easiest thing to do here would be what I usually do is find out like the fractions, like what's 10% of 3.3 billion yen? It's it's 3 point, there's 300 million, 334 million. I think as they say it. And that's 10%. And then what's 1%? 1% is then 33.4 million. So that times 9 is a lot of money, right? That is a lot of money to be. That is a lot of money. Fucking hell. How much were they all in debt? It wasn't that much, right? So they all stand to gain quite a bit here. Unless I'm being stupid and going crazy. I can't remember how much they're in debt. I feel like it's not as much as they're getting from this though. So what is it? 3.34 points, sorry. 3348840. Add some zeros on. Divided by 9. Yeah, they all stand to get 370 million each. Which again, I can't remember how much debt they're in. And that's just from the savings. That's just from the leftover savings that the night team didn't take. So yeah, mission successful. But what happened here then? One more time. One more time. Oh. They look at Jesus back there. He don't seem too angry, does he? Indeed. It did. It did. We had him fooled the whole time. No, I think I'm right in what I said a minute ago. No, I don't think it was. I feel like the red guy probably didn't know about it, but perhaps the other two were still in on this. Oh, he was still on it as well? Wow, that's really surprising. That's really surprising. I was sure that he was not like still in on it. If anyone, I mean I said in the intro, I would assume either the Jesus guy and the bald guy would be in on the betrayal still, but him I'm really surprised about, especially because we got like his inner thoughts last episode. We saw like his inner thoughts towards the stuff. So that's really surprising. I didn't expect that. I kind of half expected it from the other two, but I was sure he was almost like a bit of a decoy from Akiyama in regards to making him feel like he got caught. I don't know. Interesting. He's a fucking good actor. Tell him that. He's a good actor. He's a fucking good actor. Oh, so he was already on their team? Fuck off. Why are we mentally communicating right now? Are you trying to tell me he what's being said here? It's obviously not ESP mind fucking talking shit. I mean, it's coming across like it. I feel like they're trying to present this look as saying that. Like this look says, "Don't worry, Hasuka." Is what he's heard from this look. No, ain't no way. No, ain't no way. No chance. No fucking chance. What was that? That was either some mind reading Esper shit or this guy is incredible at forming whole sentences based off someone's look. What the hell is this? How did you get that? Oh, you're bullshitting me that. This guy done really well to conceal himself, didn't he? And that's amazing that that happened, by the way. So that wasn't acting, okay. It was really good acting if it was. That's why I assumed he was still not in on the plan. They could speak with mind bloody ASP. No need to actually talk. True, true. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. I was going to pause, but I won't. That's a really good point, though. Because, yeah, he did hand these out so you'd catch people, like, talking shit about Yokia. Interesting. See, why didn't they... So I'm going to pause. Why did they not just use this to... This part here with the fucking ESP look. Like an ESP look that said 1,000 words. Why did they not just explain it with this voice recorder? Why did they have to... Where is it? Why did they? I can't even find it right now. Why did they have to make it like this look with some kind of ESP, like mind reading? Like this look says that I'm not still in fact. There ain't no way you're getting that just from a side eye like that. I'd be so enraged because he doesn't know that if he's really betrayed him or not at that point. I'd be so enraged. That look would mean nothing to me. Um, so I don't know why they didn't just explain it off as he left a note or something. Like there was better ways of doing that, right? Surely. That seemed like a step too far in believability for me. That small part there, but I can easily overlook it. It's just a small part, but I mean, I say it's a small part. If that didn't happen, if the bald guy did actually believe that he was betrayed there, who knows what could have happened? Like that could have been vital in stopping Akiyama's plan, honestly. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that ESP mind reading fucking look, honestly. Especially when you could have explained it in a way like this. But yeah, interesting that the downfall of Yokoya's plan was actually these. But one of the parts anyway was these voice recorders, which were meant to survey people and catch people talking shit about him. But they actually gave him they actually gave the members the perfect way of communicating a betrayal on him about his knowledge, which ingenious way to use these, isn't it? Old school these are, by the way. Look like little MP3 players, but slightly older. So yeah, I don't understand why the Jesus guy didn't just put one of these in Asagawa's pocket and he walked past him instead of giving that ESP look. Okay, so that's how he got him on the team before then. Okay. Okay. Let's see if he's a good loser or not. Doesn't strike me as one. Power of friendship. The power of friendship, baby. So what does that mean for everyone's debts? 0.23 billion. So what's that, like 180 million each? Something like that. You were see, you idiots were fucking get that's yeah. Okay. So this is where you guys fucked up because you thought you were they thought they were perhaps putting the money into the I don't know if I'm right about this. I probably should have thought about this before saying it. But I think this is where they fucked up getting greedy in the last portion. I feel like they were just taking out the money that was in the savings account that got deposited there from the three greedy guys on the country a day team. They were actually retrieving the money that they planted on those three guys instead of the money that they posited. I think, I don't know. Again, I probably should have thought about that before saying it. Sorry for all the pauses, but again, I just want to understand and talk about things and flesh them out and such because there's yeah, a lot of information. So yeah, you're already in this far. You might as well smuggle the rest of that money. I think he said. I think he already said about that plan earlier episodes. How are you going to do that right now? Oh, I brought that up last week. Shit, I knew this was coming. I thought this was where they were maybe hiding one of the cards from Yakayama's plan a couple weeks ago. But yeah, let's not forget about that. They said one of the speakers was down in the control room, and we knew something was coming from that. So, what are they? Subtly rub the card on the magnet using the speaker. Neck field would wipe the data. Oh shit! So they're not going to physically like damage it. Oh shit! Well, I mean, I don't know if anyone expected that, but we knew something was coming from that speaker being broken situation. Like I said, I assumed it was maybe where we hid the card or something. Seems like a pretty good hiding place. But oh. Yeah, you guys brought that up. Why did they give back the one that didn't work? Seems a bit weird. I guess why wouldn't you? Because it doesn't work. But hmm. Yeah, I guess why not? Why wouldn't they? If you requested it. which is not what you would have got from Yokia. They still would have been in a little bit of debt if they went with Yokia. Why is he so? Why is he still so like this? He's gonna hunt him down. I'm gonna hunt your bitch ass down. They're gonna give their portions to them. Oh, is there? How old do you know about that? That's very self-sacrificial of them, isn't it? Damn. One step too far for you, boy. You stop whispering like that, bro. So that's the thing now, isn't it? We're gonna encounter this motherfucker again. So how does Akiyama know that there's another revival round? To be fair, I think you could probably infer that because it's kind of like what I said with the cards. Why wouldn't there be another revival round? Why wouldn't we want to get people in more debt from the officer side of things? More debt for people. That's good for us. Um, but yeah, hell of an episode. Fucking hell, a lot of information taken there, wasn't there? The whole. I was expecting this to be over a few episodes, but the whole betrayal getting explained in this one. Again, a lot of it makes a lot of sense. Again, there's parts here and there that, again, just because it took over the span of like 7 or 8 weeks, harder to understand. But yeah, I mean, it was as kind of theorized a little bit. The betrayal was still ongoing. I was shocked that the redhead guy was still on it, like absolutely shocked. But I guess it was the case that at points they kind of still were questioning a little bit if their betrayal was still on. Like they weren't 100% sure the whole time that it was going smoothly and working with Akiyama, but it did end up pulling through. So as I said, like some of the acting from the redhead guy, especially, I was like, wow, it must have been a hell of an actor. No, it turns out he wasn't actually acting during that point. That was a genuine reaction, hence why it felt so genuine. Not any of that now acting. Provocation. But yeah, this means that we're probably gonna be facing Yokia again. I feel like a big part of this was him not foreseeing, as with what was explained at the end here, him not foreseeing just how Now and Akiyama are playing this game. Because from his perspective, he's got a very like almost the opposite perspective of Akiyama and Now, hasn't he? So I imagine it's really hard for him to understand his opponent when their motivations are so different and so selfless. Imagine that was one of the big reasons he lost Yokia. But now that he knows how they're going to be playing, I feel like that's going to change things up if we do meet him again in the future, which I feel like is undoubtedly going to happen because they won the game. He's moving on to the next round. Um, However, I mean, that begs another interesting question, because obviously those three are going to be out of the game, so they're not going to be on Yoki's team. We're not even sure if it's going to be a team game or whatever in like the fourth round. But if it is, and Yokia has the same people with him that he had this time, are they going to be as willing to work with him as they were this time? Are they going to be as willing to kind of bow down to him, considering they lost and it worked out so well for the people that betrayed him? Surely they'd be like, well, best thing to do here would maybe to be betray him, because that worked for the other guys. So yeah, just really creates a very interesting, like, I don't know if I mean, I can't say this because we don't know what the next game is, but it almost creates an even more interesting dynamic between Akiyama and Yokia now that they've had like a round together to understand each other's tactics and get a feel for each other. And the situation would be so different in the next game. It feels still like fresh and new. Not that we know what the next game is or anything, but I'm really looking forward to that. If I imagine that would be in a season 2, if a season 2 comes. Again, the ratings for the show are not great, so um, I'm not sure if that seems likely. I really hope it's the case, because I've been absolutely loving this show, but the general audience doesn't seem to be. So it would be a massive shame if we never got to see that. But yeah, as I said, really good episode explaining the happenings here. Again, just to put it pretty simply, it was just the case that all three of them were betraying him, which again I somewhat expected 2 out of the 3 of them to continue betraying him, but I did not see the redhead guy staying as a betrayer at all. But yeah, really good explanation of things. Again, it was quite digestible. As I said, some of the details just because of the time, but went beyond me. But for the most part, really like digestible and understandable, and really well done from Akiyama's perspective. It was also the case where, honestly, as much as we got loads of those ha reactions, it wasn't awfully shocking. Like like a lot of this, like, we did kind of see a lot of planning for. Um, so it wasn't awfully shocking in a good way. It wasn't like it came out of nowhere. The only issue I did have was the ESP look from Jesus over here. Maybe he is actually Jesus, because that ESP look seemed a bit bullshit, especially when you could have easily explained it with what we learned later in the episode. Maybe it's the case of, because we learned about the voice note things later in the episode. I mean, we knew about them ages ago, don't get me wrong, but we knew that what they were using them for later in the episode. Perhaps it's just the case that we put 2 and 2 together and just assumed that Jesus and the bald guy communicated that he wasn't betraying him later on with one of the notes. But I feel like that connection and that communication could have been done a little bit better, but that's really the only issue I had with today. And it's just a small thing, but that could have been a large thing. Like, if that didn't happen, who knows what could have happened if Asagawa then assumed that the betrayal wasn't on anymore. Like, it could have spiraled massively away from the direction it's gone now. So that is a small thing, but it could have been a massive thing. So that is the only issue I had today. But other than that, it was a pretty phenomenal episode. Love this little battle at the end here as well. I'm fucking done with whispering Yogi, by the way. I'm happy to never hear that again. But yeah, just very selfless from these two. Actually, going to put themselves in, giving up all their amount and going to be continuing on, just so their alliance, just so they can get their whole team out of the game and the 3 betrayers. Like, that's very, very selfish. You wouldn't find pretty much any other participants doing this. So how are you meant to fight against that from Yoko's perspective? But yeah, just fantastic stuff here. Really excited to see what this revival game is going to have in store. I imagine that's what's going to be what this kind of last little portion of the anime is. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comment sections. I imagine this video is very long, so apologies. Leave a like on the video if you guys did like, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with these reactions. And I'll see you guys next week with episode 20.